Okay, so today we'll discuss the last topic, which is called as the sampling. Okay, sampling of continuous time signals. So now, what is meant by sampling of continuous time signal? So we have discussed continuous time and discrete time signals, is it not? So how to get the discrete time signal? Because in general, in practical, whatever nature available, it is all continuous time signals. So now how to get the discrete time signal? So in order to get the discrete time signal, we need to sample, okay, whatever we have continuous time signal. So if I have the continuous time signal x of t, so if I do the periodic sampling, okay, so periodic sampling, then I will get the discrete time signal, what is x of n. Okay, so now this whatever sampled signal, so the sampled signal of your continuous time signal, we can represent it as the x of n into tau. So this is what discrete time signal, so which is given by this, where so tau is nothing but the sampling interval, so sampling period. So we can call this tau as a sampling period, and this holds good from minus infinity to the plus infinity, whatever n discrete set of values you will take, so it will holds. But here we need to take care, it should be a periodic sampling, and the signal whatever you are taking, the impulse trains to multiply the x of t to get the discrete time signal, that should be a periodic samples. Say for example, if you have the signal that is x of t, okay, so now if you multiply the periodic samples, which we'll call it as s of t, so then you will get the sampled signal as xs of t, which we can represent it as x of n into tau. Okay, so now this periodic samples whatever we have to take for sampling, so that we can represent in terms of impulse signal, which we can have n equal to minus infinity to plus infinity del of t minus n into tau. Okay, so this is the periodic samples. So if you see the representation in terms of the figure, you will come to know. So now if I have the signal, say for example like this, if I have a continuous time signal like this, okay, so which is from minus infinity to plus infinity, and you will be having x of t. So now if I multiply this with the periodic samples like this, so then the resultant whatever you will going to get, so this is the periodic samples, and the resultant you will going to get like this. So whatever at corresponding samples, so you will get only that samples. So here it is this sample and this sample, so here it is this sample and this sample, like this we will going to get the discrete version of this input signal x of t after sampling. Okay, so now if you use the sampling property of the impulse function, so if I use the sampling property of this impulse function, we can write the xs of t as the sampled signal of that continuous time signal, we can write it as summation n equal to minus infinity to plus infinity. So x of t we can write it as the sampled version into the del whatever we multiply this one, so with the sampling period, so we can write this one as t minus n into tau. So we are multiplying, so we are putting the n values and we are sampling the continuous time signal. So this is the sampling property, we can call it as. And if I take the Fourier transform for these periodic signals, okay, so then we can have So now if I have the periodic impulse train, and if I take the Fourier transform for this, I will get s of j omega. So that is s of j omega equal to 2 pi by tau, okay, so into summation k equal to minus infinity to plus infinity del of, so omega minus k into omega s. So this relation we have seen while taking the Fourier transform. So now if I have the impulse train in terms of frequency domain, and also if I have x of j omega, that is whatever input signal in terms of the Fourier transform, okay, so that we can write it as, so we can write it as that one 1 over 2 pi, so which is equal to, so if I multiply that whatever excess of j omega, that is sampled version of the Fourier transform, we can write the x of j omega into that is convolution of s of j omega. So that is whatever we have x of t into s of t. Okay, if I multiply this in time domain, so we know the modulation property. So by using that modulation and convolution property, so if I have the multiplication in the time domain, it will leads to convolution in the frequency domain, or if I have the convolution in the time domain, it leads to multiplication in the frequency domain. So that we are using that property, and we are getting the sampled version of this whatever the Fourier transform. So now if I substitute this whatever the s of j omega which we defined here, so then you will get the sampled version of the Fourier transform, which we can write it as 1 over 2 pi, so into x of j omega, okay, so this convolution of this whatever whole thing, that is 2 pi by tau, okay, into summation k equal to minus infinity to plus infinity, so del of omega minus k into omega s, okay, so this is what we get. So now if I take out 2 pi by tau, so you will get 1 over tau into x of j omega, so which is will get the convolution, so which is summation k equal to minus infinity to plus infinity del of omega minus k into omega s. Okay, so this is your x of j omega, and we'll have, so this one which is given by, if I give the pictorial representation, so now as like the previous one, if I have the signal x of t and its corresponding Fourier transform whatever x of j omega we will obtain, so that we know already, it gives minus infinity to plus infinity x of t into e power minus j omega t into dt. If I do that one, we will get for this x of t the Fourier transform of the signal. So now if I get the Fourier transform of this signal, so which is represented like this, that is if I take the Fourier transform of this one, so I will get like this, so something like this, and it is bounded by the highest frequency of component of this one. This is a like magnitude spectrum of this your x of j omega, okay. So now if I have the impulse signal, so which I take the impulse, periodic impulse, okay, so now if I have the periodic impulse which is having the period tau 2 tau like that, minus tau minus 2 tau like that. So now this is the periodic impulse train, so that is we call it as s of t. So now if I have the Fourier transform for this, that we have taken s of j omega, okay, so now we can represent that one in terms of the sampled sampling frequency, we will call it as, because it is a sampling period in frequency domain, it will be converted into sampling frequency. So that we can write it as s of j omega, and that we can represent it as the amplitude which is given by 2 pi by t, and that whatever the samples we obtain at particular sampling frequency, that is minus omega s minus 2 omega s. So whatever the sampling period we will get in the frequency domain, similarly we will get the sampling frequency, okay. So now what we need to do, so we need to multiply this x of t and s of t. Similarly, you can convolution, you have to do x of j omega and s of j omega, so that you will get the complete whatever the sampled signal Fourier transform. So that if you do, then you will get like this. And if you can see the pictorial representation, you can say that. So this can be represented like this. Now if I have the, which is x of t and s of t, if I multiply those two, we will get the sampled signal. Okay, so like this. So this is which is actually sampled signal. Okay, so if I have at tau minus 2 tau, so like that, which is having a sampled signal. So now this corresponding Fourier transform will be the convolution of these two. So now if I want to convolution of these two, you will get at every samples whatever the envelope of this one. So that is how the Fourier transform you will get for the sampled signal. So you will going to get like this, and you will going to get like this, and it will go on continue. So this will be given by at particular sampling frequency, that is omega s. And similarly at minus 2 omega s and plus 2 omega s, like that it is go on. So now this one, which will be having minus omega h, and here it is plus omega h. So now if I want to replicate the original signal x of t, okay, so then what is meant by, what is I have to get what the sampling frequency. Okay, so now if I have the sampling frequency, if I take, say for example, if I take omega s minus omega h, which should be greater than omega h. Okay, so in order to get back our original x of t signal, okay, by passing through this whatever obtained the Fourier transform, if I want to get back the signal which is original, I need to have this condition. Okay, so if I have this omega s minus omega h should be greater than omega h, then I can able to recover back the signal. So that means this sampling frequency whatever you have, it should be greater than your 2 omega h. So here omega h is the highest frequency component of the x of t, that is original signal. So this will represent in terms of radians per second. Okay, so this omega h should be highest frequency of the highest frequency content which is present in the x of t, that is original signal. So now if I want to get back from the sampled version of the signal to the original signal, this condition should be met. Okay, so now if I have this omega s which is not greater than the 2 omega h, okay, so now if I don't have omega s which is not greater than 2 omega h, then what will happen? So you cannot able to recover the signal. So then if I don't have this one, so what is your the output Fourier transform of the output signal, which is the sampled version of the Fourier transform? It will be look like this. Or if I have the multiple copies which is overlap like this, okay, so this is a sampled Fourier transform, sampled signal Fourier transform, that is xs of j omega, and this is xs of t. Okay, so now if I have the overlapping of this one which is happening in the frequency domain, so that we'll call it as overlapping of the signal. So then we'll call this one as a distortion or aliasing. Okay, so this one we'll call it as a distortion or aliasing. If this occurs, then we cannot able to recover the original signal x of t. So in order to get our original signal x of t, then we should have the condition this one, that is omega s which should be greater than 2 omega h. Okay, the sampling frequency of the sampling frequency whatever you have taking, that sampling frequency should be greater than 2 times of the highest frequency component of the input signal whatever you are giving. Okay, so that is what we have the condition for sampling. So now what is the sampling theorem says that? So sampling theorem says that if x of t, okay, whatever signal which you are taking x of t is a band limited signal, okay. So band limited means it should have the band limited with frequency components, okay. So if it x of t is a band limited signal with whatever x of j omega, the Fourier transform frequency component, if it is 0 for omega should be greater than or equal to omega h, if this condition satisfy, that is omega h is the highest frequency component, okay, highest frequency component, okay. So then x of t can be uniquely determined by its samples, that is the sampling frequency or sampling rate. X of t can be uniquely determined by its samples by using this sampling rate, which is given by 2 pi by tau, okay. So that should be greater than or equal to 2 times of the highest frequency component of the signal, okay. So the minimum sampling frequency whatever required 2 omega h, so whatever the minimum sampling frequency required in order to successfully sample or in order to successfully discretize the signal, so that frequency we will call it as the Nyquist frequency, okay. So Nyquist frequency, or we can call it as Nyquist sampling frequency or Nyquist rate, or also we can call it as Nyquist rate. So this sampling theorem is found out by Nyquist, so that's why we will call it as this one Nyquist rate or Nyquist frequency. So if x of t is band limited, so this is what we call it as the sampling theorem, okay. So what sampling theorem says, in order to properly discretize the continuous time signal, we should have the proper sampling frequency which is greater than equal to 2 times of the highest frequency component of the signal, so that we will call it as Nyquist frequency or Nyquist rate, okay. So this is about the sampling theorem. So now we will do 1 or 2 problems based on this, so then we can come to know what is actually this how the frequency component in the signal we can take highest frequency component, and how we can decide the sampling frequency, okay. So now if I take the example, so problem, so if I have the x of t signal, okay, so which is given by cos of 5 pi t plus 0.5 into cos of 10 into pi t, okay. So which is ideally sampled with the sampling rate of or sampling period of tau ts. So now we need to define the what is the minimum sampling frequency required or Nyquist rate which is required. So now we have to find what is the omega s. So now from this we can come to know what is omega 1 equal to 5 pi and omega 2 equal to 10 pi. Now if I find out f1, okay, so which is nothing but, so 2 pi by or omega by 2 pi, so we can get the relation 2 pi f1 we know which is equal to 5 pi, which is given. So f1 equal to 5 pi by 2 pi. So now what is the value which is given by 5 by 2? So this f which is taken it as hertz in the frequency measurement, we can take it as hertz, and omega which is angular frequency we can call it as radians per second. So now f1 it will be having 2.5 hertz, and similarly f2 which is having, so we can calculate 2 pi f2 equal to 10 pi and f2 equal to 5 hertz. So now we can see comparing f1 and f2 which is the highest frequency component. So now f2 is the highest frequency. So in the x of t, the highest frequency component contained in the signal x of t is f2 equal to 5 hertz or omega 2 equal to 10 pi. So now what is the condition for Nyquist rate? Or in order to get the sampling condition, we need to have so omega s greater than or equal to 2 omega s. So that means so the minimum sampling frequency required is 2 into 10 pi. So that should be greater than 2 into 10 pi, which is equal to 20 pi. Okay. So now this is what the minimum the sampling rate which is required, or minimum sampling frequency we can have. So this is 20 pi, so you can get 2 pi fs equal to 20 pi, or fs minimum fs which is required greater than or equal to 10 hertz. Okay, so even you can directly take here, so the fs should be greater than or equal to 10 hertz. Is it clear how we can able to get the sampling frequency and sampling rate, Nyquist rate? Any doubt in this? So now take one more problem and try to do the find out the sampling rate or Nyquist rate. So which is given by x1 of t, which is given by sinc of 200 t, and x2 of t which is equal to sinc square of 200 t. So now try to do this one. So this sinc function we can represent like this: sinc of theta which is equal to sine of theta by theta, that is sine pi theta by theta. Okay, so now we can use this expression and we can write this sinc function in terms of x1 of t and in terms of this one x1 of t, which is given by sine of 200 pi t divided by 200 pi t. Okay, so now we can able to get so the sampling frequency or Nyquist rate. What is Ws which is required, which is, so now we can see the highest frequency component only it is having one signal. So if you get that one, 2 into 200 pi, that should be equal to 400 pi. The minimum sampling rate should be greater than or equal to this much. Okay, so now we can do this also. So sinc square, so which is given by sine square of 200 pi t divided by 200 pi t whole square. Okay, so sine square you can represent in terms of cos, and we can do that is so 1 minus 2 sine square theta which is equal to cos 2 theta. So we can put that one and you can find it out. Try to find out what is the sampling frequency. What is the Nyquist rate? Anybody calculated? Hello? Hello, anybody calculated? So we put this one, so which is given by x2 of t, which is equal to sine square 200 pi t. So we can have this 1 minus cos of 200 into 2, it is 400 pi t divided by 2. Okay, so now this one we should be multiplied with 1 over 200 pi t whole square. Okay, so this is whatever the remaining factor, we have put the sine square. So now you can see what is the frequency component, it is 400 pi t. So now our omega h is equal to 400 pi. So now what is omega s? Should be greater than or equal to 2 omega h, which is greater than or equal to 800 pi. Okay, so in terms of fs, if you calculate, so what is fh? Highest frequency component, so it is 400 pi by 2 pi, so which is equal to 200 hertz, and if you take fs, should be greater than or equal to 400 hertz. Okay, so this is what the Nyquist rate, how we can find out, and we can find out one problem based on the sampling period. Okay, so if the problem which is given at us, so if the output x of t of an ideal low pass filter which has cutoff frequency or WC, so now the problem which is given to find out which is the minimum period to allow to get the proper sampling, that is I'll write that one. So is it understood, this one? So how to get the Nyquist rate? Any doubt in this? So now if I have the signal which is x of t, which they are passing through the low pass filter, so which is having the cutoff frequency WC, which is 1000 pi radians per second. Okay, so now if I pass this signal, so in impulse which is cutoff frequency omega c 1000 pi radians per second, it is impulse sampled, so which is sampled with an impulse train with the sampling periods, so with the following sampling periods. Okay, so what are all the sampling periods? The first one is the sampling period is which is equal to 0.5 into 10 power minus 3, and second one the sampling period which is equal to 2 into 10 power minus 3. Now third one, the sampling period is 10 power minus 4. Okay, so now these are the sampling periods used to sample this signal, and it is passed to a low pass filter which is having cutoff frequency or omega c which is having 1000 pi. So now, so which of these sampling periods would guarantee that x of t can be recovered from the sampled version of the low pass filter? That is, if I recovered the x of t, okay, which is sampled signal from the sampled version, so now which is the sampling period is proper with compared to this cutoff rate, by using this cutoff frequency of the low pass filter, which sampling period is proper, okay, in order to properly recover the signal. Okay, so now first we need to find out what is the highest frequency component of the signal. So now if I have the filter which is cutoff frequency 1000 pi, now I can have the maximum frequency which can be allowed through this filter is 1000 pi itself, is it not? So that is the filter characteristics, it will not allow the other signals greater than this frequency. So that means I need to allow the x of t with the highest frequency component only this much itself. So then what is our if the highest frequency component is this one, now what is our sampling the rate or Nyquist rate sampling frequency? It should be greater than 2 omega h. That means it should be a 2000 pi radians. Okay, it should be 2000 pi radians per second. So now what is my Fs? Fs should be greater than or equal to, so 2000 pi divided by 2 pi. So that should be equal to 1000 hertz, is it not? So now my Fs should be equal to greater than or equal to 1000 hertz. So now what is the corresponding sampling period? It should be equal to 1 over Fs. So that means it should be equal to 1 over 1000, which should nothing but 10 power minus 3 seconds. So that means my sampling rate should be less than or equal to, okay, so this much. So now if Fs is greater than or equal to 1000 means my 1 over Ts should be greater than or equal to 1000, or we can send this Ts this side. So you will get Ts should be less than or equal to 10 power minus 3. Now if I have the sampling period which is less than or equal to 10 power minus 3, so then we can properly able to get the original signal x of t from the sampled signal. So now out of these three, which are less than this or equal to this, then we can have those sampling periods can be considered for this sampling. Okay. So now what are the values which is less than this? So now this value which is less than this, and this value which is less than this one. So this is greater than whatever the specified sampling period. So only these two have sampling periods which can be able to recover the signal back from the sampled version. So if I use this sampling period, we cannot able to get the sampled version of the, that is recovered version of the signal, that is input signal. Okay. So is it clear now? Any doubt? Hello? Anybody is having any doubt? Whatever we get sampled signal, so from this sampled signal, so what is the sampling periods we need to use to get back this x of t? So that is what they are asking. So this is the answer. So I want to find out what is the sampling period. Based on that, what are all the sampling periods I can use to get back the original signal. Is it clear? Any doubt? Hello? Hello? Understood? Hello? Nivedita? Nitish? Sonu? Tejasvi Sharma? Hello? All of you reply, otherwise how can I get it?
No doubt, sir, no doubt.
Okay, so this is about the some of the problems based on the sampling theorem. So now just I will show some of the simulations based on the earlier concepts from the second unit I didn't show. Just I will go through the code and whatever we can able to simulate. So then we can follow that one, and I will upload these codes also in the Moodle. So if anybody interested, you can see that also. So now we can have this one. So this, whatever the convolution of this signal, whatever we did earlier. So now if I have two signal sequences x of n and h of n, so how we can able to get the convolution of that? So now if I execute this one, just in the code I have put that the input sequence, and by using the convolution property, so then I am plotting here. So you can see, so this is input and this is impulse response h of n, or what you can call it as, even you can take input signal x of 1 and x2 of n and x1 of n. Then we can have the output linear convolution which is having a length. So if it is having the input x1 of t, it is x1 of n which is having length L, and if it is having m, so then we can have the convolution of L plus m minus 1. So the same thing which is written in the code. Okay, so that we can execute and we can see. So if I execute this one, then we will going to get the, so first we need to enter starting point where we need to starting, so like whatever we do in the discrete case, like whatever we supposed to write x of n and h of n. Okay, so we will write like sequence, right? X of n which is equal to 0 1 2 3 like that. So where is the starting point we need to specify, and h of n also, so where is the starting point we need to specify. So based on that it will give the convolution. Okay, so now we need to specify, I will specify 0 is the starting point and h of n also 0 is the starting point. Then I will give the sequence, so 1 2 3 like that, and similarly h of n I will give some other thing 2 4 6 like that. Okay, then we will be having the sequence. So how much sequence it should come? See, now it is 3 and here it is 3, so 3 plus 3 6 minus 1, the output should be, it will be a 5 sequence signal. So now you can see here, so it is a 1, so 2 3 whatever we are giving. So amplitude it is at 0 it is 1, and 1 is at 2, and 2 it is at 3. Similarly I have given 2 and 4 and 6, this is h of n and this is x of n. Now convolution you will get at so 0 1 2 3 4, so this is the corresponding amplitude, and you will be having, so L plus m minus 1 which is 3 plus 3 minus 1, it is equal to 5, 1 2 3 4 and 5. So this is the convolution of the signal. This is in the discrete time case. Okay, even we can do whatever we done the problem. So some of the problems we have done, right? You can check those problems and we can try to get the whether it is same amplitude values with the same set of output it is coming or not. Okay, so this is what the discrete time convolution. So now we'll just see how the continuous time convolution it will happen. But in continuous time, so what we need to do, so we need to have whatever the signal which will specify. Okay, so say for example if I have x of n which is minus 1 to plus 1 x of t, and similarly h of t, I will specify something like e power minus t. Okay, so e power minus t. So like that, so we need to specifically define the signal from where to where, 0 to t or minus t to t plus t to t, whatever the continuous time signal we are taking, we need to specify the time parameter. So then only we can able to have the convolution of these two. So that is what we have done in the code here. So I have taken some finite duration of the signal, that is t equal to minus 1 to plus 1. Okay, and I have plotted that one, and similarly I have some square wave, I have plotted that one, and I have used the convolution command. You can see the convolution command. So this will give the convolution of whatever signal x and y. So now if I execute, then you will come to know what type of signal which I have defined. So now you can see here, so this is minus 1 to plus 1 I have defined, one is x of t, and x2 of t I have defined the square wave which is varying from the periodically it is varying. So now if I convolve these two signals, so you will get the convolution like this. Even you can find out by the paper values, then you can verify how it is varying and how it is giving the convolution. even we can verify our whatever the problems which we have given. So but whenever you are specifying the e power minus t and all, you should specify within the some duration, that is finite duration. We cannot give the infinite duration here. So we need to specify some finite durations, and we can able to check this also, that is continuous time convolution. Okay, that is convolution integral whatever we call, so in the time domain. And in the discrete time convolution, even you can give the finite set of sampling and you can verify. So this is what the convolution in time domain, that is convolution integral what we say. Okay, so now coming to the some Fourier series and one Fourier transform I will show. So the Fourier series, how we can able to find it out. So if I have the signal x of t which is having some finite duration, like we define the square wave. Okay, so similar if I, so because the Fourier series, it is a periodic signal whatever we need to find it out. For the periodic continuous time signal, we will going to find out the Fourier series, right? So if I have the signal which is having the Fourier series which is periodic, then we can able to find out. Now you can see it is the x of t which I have defined here 1 period, and I am repeating here it is at 4 periods, because we cannot have an infinite set of values to display here. So that's why I have taken only 4 periods. So now I have defined that periodic setup, and this is Tx represents the input signal x of t with a periodic signal, and that is only I have plotted here. And similarly, so once I have find out the magnitude and phase, the phase and magnitude I am plotting here as a Fourier series component. Just I am using that Fourier series equation, and we try to do that one. So now if I execute that one, and if you see the problem whatever we have done the problem, that is one problem we have done rectangular pulse, that is the rectangular pulse which we have defined is, you might have the Fourier series, you might have seen that the rectangular pulse which we have done. That is x of n, this problem. So the same problem which we have done here. So if I have the x of n, you can look back this problem, x of n equal to 1 for magnitude of m n less than or equal to m, and it is 0 for magnitude of m n greater than m. So this is the problem we have done. Find out the DTFT, whatever the discrete time Fourier transform. So okay, so since we don't have the infinite values, we cannot able to put. Just for the finding out, we are using the discrete time case, that is DTFT. Okay, so now if I have this one, so we have the solution for this, that is x of e power j omega. If you look back this one, x of e power j omega sine of omega by 2 into 2m plus 1. Okay, so this whatever we got the sinc, this one sine of omega by 2. So the same expression which we got, and the same we are using here. So if I define this x of n as a rectangular pulse, so which is between minus m to plus m. Okay, so magnitude of n which is less than or equal to m. So whenever it is less than or equal to m, the amplitude value is 1, and if it is greater than, it is 0. Okay, so the same thing which we have defined in the code. Okay, so that is what we have defined here, and the same with periodic samples, 4 periodic samples we have done, and we get the sinc pulse. So how the sinc pulse look like? The sinc pulse you might have already seen. The sinc pulse look like this. Okay, so the same sinc pulse we will going to get the after the Fourier DTFT of the signal. So the same thing which we do here, and if I execute now, So since why I have named it as Fourier series means if it is continuous signal with periodic, so that we'll call it as Fourier series, but we cannot have the infinite values, so that's why I am showing the DTFT. So now you can see here, so this is having the periodic so this is Fourier series, and whatever transform which I show here, that is a Fourier transform DTFT. So now this is having the Fourier series itself, the triangular signal, periodic signal, and the Fourier series magnitude, it will come like this. Okay. So since we have not shown the infinite set of values, only 4 periods we have shown here. So and it is having the magnitude like this, and here the Fourier transform. So this is Fourier series only, and this is the DTFT whatever I have shown, that is minus m to plus m. So this is Fourier transform of this signal, DTFT of the signal. So this one is the DTFT, and this is Fourier series itself, and whatever we got the triangular pulse x of t, so that you can look at the triangular pulse, this one also, the Fourier series coefficients, that also we have done the problem. The Fourier series coefficients we have done, x of k we have found out. So that is you will get that Fourier series coefficients as x of k for the triangular pulse. Okay, so whatever we have triangular pulse, which I have shown here. Okay, so this triangular pulse whatever we have shown, so we have find out the Fourier series coefficients, which is given by 1 by pi square k, so into 1 minus 1 power k. So now if you go on putting the values of k, that is for k which is not equal to 0, that is the x of 0 equal to half, and x of k equal to 0, and x of k, so which is equal to 0 for other values, that is k equal to plus or minus 2 plus or minus 4, like that. So the same thing which we have done the Fourier series, that is 2 by pi square k for k equal to plus or minus 1 plus or minus 3, like that. So the same magnitude values we have plotted here. This is what the Fourier series which we have shown the magnitude. So this triangular problem which I have done, just look at back that one, triangular problem, series of triangular wave, and we will get the Fourier series magnitude. Okay, so now this is a Fourier transform which is described here, the discrete time Fourier transform. So we will get the sync pulse for the rectangular pulse. So now if this m varies, so how much m varies in the frequency domain, also the sync pulse it is varying. So it is going to vary according to the pulse width of this rectangle. Okay, so now you can see. So now we need to specify what is that m value. So I'll just specify some 25. You can see here, this is the sync pulse. So now if I go on increasing the duration of the rectangular pulse, so the sync pulse will also, it will vary. So if I give 50, you can see, so still how it is, still it is getting shrinked. And if I now give the lesser values, then that sync pulse will going to expand. Okay, so now you can see, and similarly even another set of value, if I give some 5, so then you can see still the sync pulse will be extended. Okay, so now, so this is just for n equal to 100, like that, the labeling it is done, but based on the values which we give, so that will based on this the value of the rectangular pulse, how we will going to extend, so that it will be, So based on that, sync pulse will be given, that is sync pulse will be coming, that is the DTFT of that signal. So even we can have the n equal to 5, 15, the whatever which is specified here, the same thing which will be having as a series, and we can see here 5, 15, 25 and 100. Okay, so once more we'll execute and we can have that. So if we go on increasing the values, that is 5, so next 15, next 25, next 100. Just if I go on increasing the values, so earlier I have given the decreasing values, so now you can see for n equal to 5, it is the sync pulse is it is expanded, and if you go on increasing the value of n, it will going to, the sync pulse will going to shrink. Okay, so this is about the discrete time Fourier transform. And final thing, it is sampling theorem, which we have discussed here. So now if I want to get back the successful signal x of t, so that we need to have the sampling frequency 2 times of the highest sampling. So now if I execute this, and you will understand. So now this is a continuous signal, which is sampled version of the continuous time signal. Hello, Douglas, mute your mic. Hello. So now if I have the sampled version like this, then if I put the Nyquist rate, that is whatever required sampling rate, which is greater than the required rate, so then we can recover back the signal properly. So now if I put the equal to that, and we will get the only minimum sampling, even still we cannot able to get the proper this thing. So we can, like this we can get, but proper shape of the signal cannot be preserved. And if it is less than the Nyquist rate, so we cannot able to get the signal back, because the aliasing effect or distortion will come into picture. Okay, so the same thing which we have done here. In the first one, we have given the sampling frequency, which is 2 times greater than the highest frequency. You can see, so the signal which is having now here 2 pi into, so t by t, so this t is the sampling rate. So that's what we have the sampled version we have displayed here in first one. Okay, so after that we get the sampling rate, which is greater than the whatever required rate. Okay, and we get the signal back. And similarly we have defined here in the next one, which is less equal to exactly the sampling rate. So now we can see here what is the frequency which we have specified. It is 1 over t. So now t it is, which is given it as 0.04, and the ts which is greater than this, so we will get the proper signal, and which is less than that, which is not giving the proper signal. So now you can see 0.1. so this is a sampling rate, which is the third signal, which is less than that, or which is greater than that. So whenever it is less than that, the sampling period which is less than the highest sampling period, so then we can able to recover. So that is what it is showing here. Okay, so this is the verification of your sampling theorem. So we need to get the signal which is, so which we have now, which we have defined. Ts should be less than or equal to whatever the highest frequency, the period of highest frequency. So if it is that done, so then we'll be having the proper sampling, and we can recover back the signal. or we can have Fs should be greater than or equal to 2Fh. So that in terms of frequency, if you want to specify, you can specify in terms of frequency. Okay, so this is what some of the simulations, and I'll upload. You can go through and you can verify also other problems which we have done. So this is about your the simulation. Okay, so if you have any doubt, you can ask, and you need to practice more the problems. So in order to ensure that your offline exam is there, so you have to practice more and more problems. And if you don't get any problem particularly, you can ask me, and I will try to solve that and send it to you. Okay, so is there any doubt today's one, even in the simulation or even in the problem? So if it is there, you can tell me. Okay, so and I will send the consolidated marks T1, T2 and all the quizzes in Excel sheet, I think by tomorrow or day after tomorrow. So if anybody is having any query, you can ask me. And if you want to see the test papers, those who want to see particularly test papers, they can tell me, I will mail it to you. So but after sending, don't take too much time to finalize your marks. If any discrepancy is there, you can contact immediately. Okay, okay, so study more, and you have to practice more problems. Okay, okay, so and if any